Hello and welcome once again to Ignite Your Impact. My name is Jen Rhodes. I am seated, as always, next to my husband, Matt.
Good morning, everyone.
What was that?
I don't know.
We're already laughing at each other. That's a great sign.
Yeah. It could be a good day.
It's going to be a great day. I let the dog out this morning, and I feel like I caught a hint of spring. Now, we're recording this at the end of January. This will drop on the first week of February, so I know that I'm delusional when I say that. I'm well aware of my delusion, but it felt like it a little. I could feel some humidity in the air. I think it's going to rain today.
It's a good January, even though we got a lot of snow.
Yeah, it was a great January.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Guys, January blew up. So much good energy in the gyms and new training clients and just people so excited for the message that we bring. Just like jumping into my coaching. My coaches are busy. It just vibrates on a different level. We drove that thing like we stole it.
Yep.
Love January. But as you can tell, I'm a little scratchy scratch. I've been talking a little too much.
Yeah, we both got a little bit of...
Little scratchy. No, I don't have anything. I just have a scratchy scratch. I'm rejecting whatever you're about to say. But before, speaking of the scratchy scratch, right? Before we jump in today, I want to thank everyone that has been listening and tuning in so religiously to us and sharing our podcast with your friends and family. It means so much. And if you haven't joined my free Facebook group, I want you to shoot me a message so that I can get you in there. I have been doing a ton of free trainings chocked full of so many nuggets that are designed to help you in a lot of areas. And people have been benefiting from it almost immediately. I want you to think of it as a step-by-step guide of how to achieve in a lot of areas.
Yeah, if you want to get into that group and you're not in there, just shoot Jen a DM on Instagram or Facebook.
I reject it. It's a scratchy scratch.
She's already coughing.
Pardon me.
30 seconds into this thing.
I'm good.
But yeah, hey, I'm really proud of what you've done with that. I know you started that a few years ago, that group, and you've really put the effort into it. And I know it takes a lot of time and planning to execute that. So, and you're doing it. So fantastic job. But today, podcast, strap on your seatbelt for today because we've got a great one for you.
Yes, we are going to be talking about the difference between winning and losing, or at least how you can leverage your mindset so that you win more often.
Yeah, when you think about it, there's really two sides to what we're going to talk about today. It's basically like a coin. And one side of the coin is that anxiousness side. And one side is the excitement side. And they are razor thin in their definitions, but they have completely different outcomes when it comes to a goal.
Yes. I love this. This one came to me after a deep dive session with one of my clients, who's actually going through a little bit of some self-sabotage. And we were just even scratching the surface, but this came to me. Anxiousness is filled with fear and lack of control. Excitement is filled with happiness and lack of control. But think about that. Think about it for just a minute. Like, my God, what's the worst that could happen? There's a lack of control there. My God, what's the best that could happen? There's still a lack of control. Both have a heart racing effect. Both have that, just like you are not in control of the outcome, which is why it's so difficult for people to flip the switch. But today we're going to show you how. I love this episode. I already love it. I'm just going to tell you. It's so important that you listen to the language that I'm using. And if you listen closely, you will see and hear the difference. Anxiousness. I want you to think about an event where you're trying to feel comfortable in your own skin. You're trying to feel confident. Maybe you're trying to wow yourself and others. Think of a wedding. Maybe your child is getting married. Maybe you have a gala. Maybe it's a class reunion. Maybe it's a vacation. Maybe it's just a trip to the lake coming this year because you remember what it felt like last year not to be your best self. You remember hiding in the shadows. This year, you're determined because you remember last time in all of those situations. You shopped online for what you were going to wear. Maybe you went into a store and tried some things on, dear God. But nothing seemed good. You wanted to cover up this or hide that. And you changed a handful of times just to be disappointed. You didn't really love how you showed up that event. And you powered through, but you weren't in a great mood. You weren't confident. Next thing you've done is maybe down a couple of drinks, more than normal, just to kind of push down the pain, just to ignore how you feel, to get you out of that mood so you'll be more social. And this year, you tell yourself, not this time. I will not feel like this again. So you started in January, but you've been really nervous if you can actually do it this year, regardless of what you tell yourself. On the outside, you're like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm going to do it. But on the inside, you've got this record spinning. What if this doesn't work? What if this turns out like last time and I don't get to my goal? What if I fail? See, in this situation, you're thinking of the worst possible scenario. You're thinking you're going to fail again. You're almost willing it to happen. You're thinking about that event and what it feels like and what it will feel like to be in that same place that you were last year. And it's even scarier because it feels like it's out of control. Like, I haven't been in a body positive place in a long time. Change to excitement. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to go to this. You have the same event you're trying to get ready for. You started with a very low risk plan. Now, what do I mean by low risk? Listen up, folks. Number one, you wrote down and visualized the positive outcome you wanted, and it was burning in your mind, versus visualize and thinking and ruminating over the outcome that you don't want. You wrote down the goal and you visualized those visual and auditory cues. Like, what do you want to see? What do you want to hear? And you have it written down. So now how do you flip that mindset? How do you start to execute? Well, that's number 2 and 3. So number 2, you took the time to carve it into your schedule. I'm not talking months, but you took the time to think ahead and think about any obstacles that might come up, not negative outcomes. Obstacles, goals still the same. What could possibly get in my way? Meaning you've got 3 to 4 days blocked off for your workouts. You've blocked off for meal plans. Maybe you've taken a quick little metabolic breather so that you don't go off the rails and sabotage your success. You have your plan and it is carved. And you've estimated and projected any obstacles that can get in your way and how you're going to get around them. Number 3, this is the key. Even though you haven't seen the results before, you find someone that has, or a group of people that have, so that you know it can be done. You've seen their results. You've heard their stories. They are identical to your story with one major difference. And you can use that to help chase that goal. And this eliminates a ton of fear, and it almost turns to happiness. Like, it's coming. I know it's coming. It's on the way. Now you get started and all you start thinking about are the positive outcomes. Why? Because you have a solid plan and you've seen others do it and you know there's no gimmicks. It's still heart racing, like the anxious side, and it's still a little out of control, but something feels different this time. You're not relying on your past failures to sit in your unconscious. You're relying on real results. You see it and you hear it and you believe it And when you do that, changes your actions, which changes your results.
Yeah, I remember where these 3 steps have played out in business too. I think it's important. They work everywhere, not just in your fitness, but in business, in life. Having those 3 steps, which were to visualize it, then to put together the plan. And then as Jen said, that the most important one is to find someone or a group of people who've done it before, so you can believe that you can do it. It changes that anxiousness into excitement. And I remember, a great business example is when we opened up our yoga studios, there was so much doubt. On the outside, just like Jen said, the person is excited. I was confident we're going to do this. But on the inside, in my unconscious mind, there was a lot of fear and doubt of what could go wrong. We'd achieved all these things in our fitness business. Now we're betting it all on something else. We're going to lose everything that we've had. And if you remember back then, if you go back a ways, guys, especially in the Midwest, yoga studios were not popular in the Midwest. So this was something new to go on here. So we didn't have that number 3 that Jim pointed out, that example of someone else has done it, so we can do it. And when we opened those, we were the first franchisee for that franchisor. So back to the number 2, we didn't have a really good plan. The plan was being, what was it? The plane was being built while it was taking off. I don't know what that saying is. That was kind of the way it was. So
Yes.
we did not have the 1 or 2, or we did not have the 2 or 3. We had the 1, but we just didn't have the plan, and we didn't have examples of other people doing it. And all this led to anxiousness. And another word for anxiousness for me is anxiety and fear, and thinking of the possible worst case scenario, which led to decision to try and play defense. And when you're always playing defense, it's really, really tough to score.
That's gold. Say that again, please.
Well, when you're in this anxious mindset with a fear and lack of control, you're going to have lack of control on both sides. So when it's fear and lack of control, you're always playing out the worst case scenario. You're always on defense. However, when you flip that coin to the other side, the excitement mindset, by using those 3 things, you're playing offense and you're scoring over and over and over, which leads to a victory streak. And then it's just like you can't be beaten because you're always scoring.
Go Chiefs.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Now, on the flip side, fast forward, we've learned a lot. We use these techniques. I use this on a new business that I just started. I started about a year ago, and I think some of you have heard this, but I want to lay out how different it is compared to the example I just used with the yoga studios. I did the same thing. I wrote down my goals. I visualized where I wanted to be. I had my outcome. Then I took time to figure out a plan. How is this going to fit in my busy life? I had to say no to some things. I had to even pull back on some of our fitness things. I don't take on many clients online coaching anymore because if I take you on, I want to make sure I give you my full undivided attention, but I don't want a distraction from my other business. And the third one, which is the game changer. I mean, this is so important to go find someone else or someone or a group who's done it. I got with the group. And this group has done real estate investing where we bring in investors, we go buy real estate. They've done it over and over and over and over, and they've won and won and won multiple times. And they have that plan in place. These guys have over $400 million in assets because they've been able to do this and provide a plan that works. Now, obviously in that plan, there's a significant amount of research that goes into that so that you know what you're doing, if it deal's good, if it's not good, but it builds confidence to not only see other people just like me who've done this, but to also see how a plan works. And you've got to do that. In this business, side note, we have investors. So my investors are my friends and my family, and they're giving me money to do that. So I have to make sure I'm on the right side of that coin, where I'm obviously doing all the research, but I also have to go into it with that excitement. And I say lack of control. There's always risks in there, but you got to have a plan in place, and you got to see other people do it. And it's just so important when you do those 3 steps in this exact time. It's been a totally different outcome. We play offense the entire time. Now, offense doesn't mean you don't plan. Like Jen just said, you are doing planning. You have to plan and you got to use strategy. However, when you've done that and you've planned, the outcome seems inevitable when you've seen other people do it.
I love that. I 100% love that. I love that you wanted to include that example in this episode. Describing when we were opening the yoga studios, it brought me back to that physiological state, just that operating in fear.
Yeah.
Right. We were always on defense. Like, how do we fix this? How do we do this? Something else is coming at us.
And fast forward to this new one. It's like, I mean, I'm not saying I don't have tough days.
Of course.
There's a lot of work, but it's so, you see the path.
Yeah.
It's been done.
Yeah. I feel like it makes those examples, I feel like it makes everyone listening understand how key this concept of excitement versus anxiousness is, and how, as I said earlier, the differences are razor thin, but they have such a significant influence on the outcome, right? I mean, God, it applies to anything. It's such a powerful, powerful mind shift. Now, I want to close this up by saying, no, I don't think you can visualize and manifest yourself to a grand slam in business or a rocking body. That's just, I am realistic. I am not that woo-woo, right? However, when you do all three that we reviewed, visualization, followed by a solid plan, followed by proof that it works, and surrounding yourself in that community with people that you can chase and maybe even steal their map, it starts to change your thinking.
Yep.
And when you change your thinking, you change your actions. And when you change your actions, you change your outcome. Scratch that. You change your identity. Now, with that, I will remind you, shoot me a message, shoot me a DM, reach out to me on Facebook, whatever you like, smoke signals. If you're not in my group, get in there. I will even give Matt's company a shout. Polaris Capital Investments. I love that name. I just love that name. Polaris is the North Star and the triad of those three stars that help guide people home. I love. I'm going to give you a plug. Look him up on Facebook. Shoot him a message if you're interested in investing in real estate, or even if you just have questions. He's been so knowledgeable where I'm like, I have a question. He's like, oh, great. Do you want to invest? I'm like, not yet.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I think that's a great way to wrap. Everyone, reach out to Jen if you're not in the Facebook group. If you got, I guess if we're going to plug here, if you got investing questions, reach out to me. But we will talk to everyone next week.